Hey everyone, welcome to the final section of the sit and go strategy breakdown. This is the final quartile, which has been long awaited, I'm sure. Got a request from someone to, make it available, so here we go. I know it's been a year, but it's finally here. In this section, you're down to about the final three, or maybe four, depending on, situational. It's likely you'll be down to the final three, but if there is four, it's likely that one of them is going to be extremely short stacked. It's a key point in the tournament because it's likely that what happens here will define who's going to come first. And the blinds will be massive in comparison to the size of the stacks, and therefore steals that you manage to get through are going to have a huge impact on the size of your stack, and will allow you to build. And the more you build your stack, obviously the more authority you will have to be able to dish out over the table. And naturally, the way you are able to play in this stage is hugely defined by the amount of chips you have when you enter this stage. So for example, if you're the biggest stack, I completely recommend that you don't sit there being pretty and just not trying your hardest to keep building on your own stack. It's very important that you continuously keep trying to pound the other two players and, in a sense, be the table captain, I like to call it, because if you're a little way ahead, let's say you've got like 4,000 chips and they've only got however much is left in play, you're going to have quite a big lead on them, and you should just keep betting at them. And what will happen is the player that's in second, who has maybe even only a slight lead over the player that's in third, will just sit there and let you dish out the punishment to both of them, because the other guy knows that unless the other guy doubles up, the player in third, the second guy knows this, he can just glide through into second place. And a lot of people will slip into that mentality and just let the big stack keep punishing people. So if you are the big stack, go ahead and do it, because it's going to give you a huge advantage when it comes to getting to the heads up stage and having just such a big lead that even if you are rubbish at heads up, you're gonna win, because he'd need to double up twice to be able to even be able to come into contest with you. So it's very important that you keep attacking the other two players and be the captain of the table. Now let's say you're in second place, and that dynamic's happening, and the player who's in the lead is sort of attacking you, because he should know that you're quite happy with where you are and you don't really want to tangle with him. It's very important your strategy becomes to steal from the short stack when you can, obviously being careful because the short stack could shove on you at any moment. You don't want to be giving him a raise and the blinds, so you need to be careful. But a really key strategy is to shove over the top of the player that's in first that is betting, because then you'll take his bet and the blinds. And it also has quite a psychological effect on the player that's ahead, because he thinks that he can't push you around. And sometimes you'll just go for one move, and then 3 hands in a row he'll leave your blind alone, which is just amazing when you think about it, because if someone leaves your blind alone, you don't need to do anything. You can just sit there and just love it. Everyone loves a walk. But yeah, so if you're in third, naturally it's a very tricky stage of the tournament. It's the worst place you could be, because they're just going to keep attacking you and it'll feel like they're both against you, and in a sense they are. It's not collusion, but they are going to be playing against you. They're going to be deliberately pushing you around because they can, and you really do need to pick a spot and just shove. Hand ranges, I really can't give you help here. It's a case of you need to pick a hand and just go with it, because if you let it go on too long with them just hitting you, eventually you're going to get to a point where even if you do double up, it's not going to have any effect, because they're just going to, you're just going to be back in that same situation in about 3 hands time as the blinds have hit you again. So really you just want to be shoving, obviously any ace, almost any king to a point, and suited connected cards, I'm shoving them as well. So it really just does depend. And back to like the second, when you're in second, the sort of hands you should be playing, it becomes very tricky. You need to understand that I cannot give you hand ranges because this all depends on how the people are playing. But for example, let's say you're in second and you picked up ace 10. That's the sort of a hand that when you're three-handed it becomes incredibly strong. So you're obviously going to want to be opening with it, but depending on how the big stack's playing, you need to be very careful. If the short stack shoves you there, you've got an easy call because you're likely ahead of that short stack. He's desperate, you should call. But the big stack's going to be your problem, because if he only calls you and you go to a flop with him, ace 10 isn't a great hand to be taking flops with. I mean, you're going to really struggle against someone that can just happily call down and just just steal it away from you on the turn. So you really want to keep an eye on how he responds to bets, because some big stacks, I mean when I'm the table captain, I probably just keep betting, and whenever I get aggression back at me, or I see some aggression pre-flop, I just get out of the way. I mean, otherwise I'm bet, and a lot of players will be like that. I mean, it's hard to understand that when you see someone being that aggressive, that really they don't want people to be aggressive back at them, and that's the main way you should attack them. So I would recommend just doing it the easy way and shoving all in, and preventing yourself getting any difficult situations with the big stack. And on the other hand, you could just 2x or 2.5x, and that could make your hand look stronger than it is, because every hand you may have decided to play, you may have shoved, and therefore by only 2xing and 2.5xing, you make your hand look stronger, and therefore actually make it more likely that they fold. And hopefully you'll get through the heads up. If you've been bossing the table, you should have a huge chip lead, and just wait for the right moment to call them. Heads up is not something I can give you advice on. It's not something I feel particularly strong at. I've been working on it a lot, especially you guys. You've been really helping me with my heads up in the comment section, and really it's a case of you just need to be more aggressive on the button and just play almost nearly everything from there, and just try and work out what they're going to do, because in the lower levels it's very unlikely in heads up that they're going to 3-bet you with nothing, and it's very important that you do that in the lower levels, because not loads, but obviously players, whenever they face a 3-bet in heads up, if somebody never does a 3-bet to you, for example, what's it going to mean when they finally do a 3-bet in heads up? It's going to be a massive hand. So you need to mix it into your own game. I mean, I also sometimes like limping in, because that can confuse the hell out of people, because sometimes when you see a limp, it's meant to be weakness, and a lot of people at the lower levels actually only have a limp when they've got a massive hand, which I find hilarious. But yeah, I mean, heads up is just, you've got to get to it, and you can only learn heads up through serious experience of playing it continuously. Big advice I'd give to you is to look at the timings that they show, because in heads up usually it's 1v1, and if you're only on one table, both of you, there's huge timing tells to exploit. I mean, if they act really quickly, you can tell a hell of a lot about their hand. And for example, if they check instantly on that flop, they've probably not got fuck all. But obviously that doesn't work for everyone. I shouldn't be telling you this because it's a big tell, but it shouldn't work with everyone, but it usually does. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please drop it a like. If I missed anything, or you have any extra comments you want to add, or you have any questions for me, put it in the comment section below. And yeah, thanks for watching. Peace.